This is my review of My Hero Academia, Chapter 227, Sleepy. So Toga apparently isn't fully healed after all that. She's out of strength, she's lost blood, everything's fading, and as she says, she loves the sensation because it is the feeling of being closer to them, closer to the ones that she has killed. Which is, I mean, dark, but it's how she relates to people, so it's kind of sweet. I don't know anymore. And the IT guy basically says, Curia shouldn't have been out there. She was too valuable. And Destro Jr. basically says, no, don't you see the life of all of our members is precious? Which I think is bullcrap for a number of reasons. For one thing, 10 minutes later, you have 100 people sacrifice themselves for no apparent reason. And for another, Miss Curious was the executive of a book publishing company. She was literally in charge of getting your propaganda into the hands of the average person. She should definitely not have been out there. IT guy then explains that their plan is basically to show the surveillance cam of the good, average, everyday person fighting against these corrupt villains when no hero was present, to show people that they can fight too. They can rise up and defend themselves. Which does actually make a lot of sense if you think about it. I mean, especially in Vigilantes, we've seen a lot of times where everyone's just running away from a villain, and you gotta think to yourself, yeah, but you have quirks. You have literal superpowers, and you're just running away. There's a mindset in the community that they shouldn't stand up and defend themselves, that they should just leave things to heroes, and that is something Shigaraki agrees with, because when he was alone and desperate in the streets, no one came to help him because they figured a hero would do it, but there was no hero, and thus no one helped. You know, in a society where we put heroes on a pedestal, then people don't think they can live up to those ideals. So yeah, then they use the election campaign man to convince everyone that Miss Curiosity's sacrifice shouldn't go to vain, and then they all attack in this weird formation. Have anyone played the new Kingdom Hearts game? It looks a lot like that with Heartless Doll. Just, piled up and together. The Demon Tower, whatever you call it. It's weird. Very, very weird. And based on my estimate, there are about 100 people here. And before Shigaraki decides to kill them, he starts hallucinating, which concerning. But he remembers his little sister, his big sister, who calls him Tenko. And she's really cute. Oh my god, she's adorable. I'm so sad that she dies. She actually looks a lot like her grandmother, and she shows him a picture of her. And talking about how she was a hero, but I guess, their family didn't want to talk about that. They didn't want... All Might said that her family didn't want anything to do with him after she died. I guess they were too sad about her loss. Maybe they were too upset that she, went out to be a hero, put other people's lives ahead of those of her own family. But his sister tells him she'll always be on his side, which... If you saw my theory video, which only 9 of you did, but whatever, I theorized that it could be possible that Eri could end up reviving one of his relatives with their hand. It could be her. She could come back and convince him to stop all this, convince him it's not right to be doing what he's doing. Also, given how busted his memory is, I do think All For One is controlling him somehow. I think he altered his memory. He's the one that killed his family and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, moving on. He is so absolutely sickened that he literally vomits. Anyway, so then he kills them all. But not just the people he touched. The infection spread from his hand and destroyed those around him. Anyone who's ever seen Inuyasha thinks Sesshomaru's final attack is literally an attack that is an infection. It touches one person and it destroys everything around it that it touches. Everything they're touching. God, and just the expression on these people. I mean, that one guy, he's realized, oh, fuck, I'm about to die, aren't I? And the others are just, I just love this shot. It's so many different expressions, so many different thoughts. People realized they're about to die because of this. They're about to die because they joined the cult of Destro. And it really does feel like they're emphasizing this whole quirks can evolve thing. I mean, Toga did it, now Shigaraki. Next up is Dabi, apparently fighting an ice villain. I'm not sure how his powers are going to evolve, but that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, this isn't something we've really seen up to this point, quirks evolving. I mean, that's the whole reason Deku's quirk is so weird, you know? All Might said in second, third episode, whatever, that quirks don't really change all that much, but your understanding of them can. Like, a girl can think she shoots water out of her finger, but really, she's drawing in water particles from the air, and that's how she's doing it. But this is definitely different. I'm not sure if their whole, training against Giganto, Giant, whatever the freak his name is, had any effect on this, like pushing them to the point where their quirks evolve, but if this ends up being a thing, I'm curious how it'll affect the rest of the series. Like, how will other people's quirks evolve? I'm mostly trying to think of how someone would do something differently. Like, drawing a blank right now. Hell, maybe Minato's sticky balls will become explosives or something down the road. At the same time, I keep calling this quirk evolutions. They're upgrading, they're becoming stronger, but you could look at it as this was always their power, and he just increased their ability. Like he was always able to spread the decay on whoever he touched, but now he's increased its effectiveness so that it can hit other people. Toga was always able to change her physical appearance, but now she's able to have that change reach deeper into her in order to affect the quirk and other parts like that. I'm not really sure how Dabi's quirk would change that much. As far as I know, he makes fire, which is blue for some reason. I think the best we could expect out of him is he can make his fire last longer, or glow brighter, or affect a larger area. I can't imagine like a quirk evolution like we've seen with the other two. Except maybe, he can make fire further away, but it doesn't make a lot of sense either. So yeah, anyway, next chapter is going to be Dabi versus a villain who uses ice fists. Which does make a certain amount of sense, If he has these big fists that he's swinging around, Dabi won't be able to, get in for a close attack. I don't think he has a lot of range on him. I mean, the fire we've seen from him is always fairly, within a few feet of him. That's probably where it burns the brightest and the best, but I am hoping we finally get the flashback that confirms, yes, he is Endeavor's son. I mean, the community has been thinking this for a long time now. I remember I was shocked when I first heard it, but it made a lot of sense, and since then it just feels like it's been confirmed more and more. I really want the Endeavor versus Dabi fight down the road, or something where, I think that's going to be like almost the end of Endeavor, when they realize that he is a monster, that what he did to his own son, he turned his own son into a villain. I mean, that would just be absolutely amazing to me. And then he'd have to fight his brothers, that'd be awesome too. I mean, it makes sense, Endeavor has a son who is missing, never seen before. In the one flashback, he looks a little bit like this guy. I mean, he's obviously done some weird stuff to his face, so it makes sense that Endeavor wouldn't recognize him. It could have also just been years since they've seen each other. I mean, again, they weren't even that close. The one brother said he didn't even know his own brother like Soba until right then. They were kept apart, kept separated, so it makes sense that... So I can understand how they wouldn't really recognize each other. They don't know each other that well enough to say, hey, that's my son! And even when Endeavor saw him, it was blurry. He didn't get a good look at him, They intentionally blurred his vision so he couldn't see him clearly. So yeah, those are my thoughts on My Hero Academia, Chapter 227. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. How is Dabi going to fight a guy with giant ice fists? Just love his design, actually. We haven't seen much, but just the eyes inside the Parker is absolutely adorable. I love it. So be sure to like and subscribe, and until next week, peace.